Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to ANF Plus Sports Tonight. I'm sports producer Scott Pennyman with my guy back in the house, Brett.
What's up? It's been a while.
How you been, man?
I'm good. Had a
Everything
week
good?
off, so I'm feeling great.
Ready
This
to
is
talk,
my Monday.
ready to talk some NBA playoffs?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I got to spend a lot of my time off watching these playoff games, so I'll have a little bit to say.
Well, I guess we'll start with the Lakers and Warriors, right, man? I mean, that's woo.
That's
Ooh.
I think that's the series everybody's talking about. If you would have told me it was going to be 3-1 after 4 games, I would have believed you. But I would not have believed you if you told me which team had 3 wins. And that's because I'm a certified Lakers hater. They beat my Memphis Grizzlies. But this has been an incredibly impressive series from LeBron James and that Lakers team as a whole. Everyone, including bench players on that Lakers team, have contributed at some point in these 4 games to a win.
Well, I'm not one to say I told you so. I know because when I make a bad prediction, I'm only bringing this up because when I make a bad prediction, we came on here the next day after the Grizzlies beat them and everything like that, and they said, Scott, what are you talking about, man? So I've got to say,
Go ahead.
At the beginning of these playoffs, the Lakers were my pick to make the NBA Finals. I did say Lakers and Bucks, so the Bucks are going home. But forget about them, though. But the Lakers, yeah, I mean, just when you look at the Lakers have been playing – when you look at late in the season, after they made those trades, everything was just clicking on all cylinders. And that's just where they're at right now. I mean, it's just they continue to click on all cylinders. Anthony Davis is playing like pretty much the playoffs MVP so far. I don't know that there's been a better player in these playoffs than Anthony Davis. And
He was on Steph Curry last night.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Steph played pretty well. Yeah, he guarded Steph Curry a lot last night. I thought Steph played pretty well when you look at it. He had a triple-double, right? But a lot of his guys didn't come to help. I mean, and it's just for a team like the Warriors, who have been through so many of these playoff wars, they've been deep in the playoffs. It seems like every year, with the exception of the year that Klay was hurt.
Yeah.
Since 2015, they won 4 NBA championships. None of this is new to them. But when you look at them late in Game 1 and then Game 4 last night, they don't play like a veteran-savvy team. They haven't played like a veteran-savvy team that knows how to win. I mean, they made a lot of mistakes late in that game last night.
I mean, they had 2 to 3 chances to win that game under 90 seconds and didn't connect on one of them. Very sloppy. And then for the final possession to be Steph Curry falling to the floor, just frantically passing the ball. I think probably trying to hit it off of somebody to go out of bounds to get another possession. That we've seen a lot of sloppy plays like that in this postseason, but they haven't come from proven veteran teams like this. So it was shocking, honestly, last night to see how uncomposed they were down the stretch because, like you said, they have so many veteran guys. They're a well-coached team, and we've seen them do this for the past 4 or 5 years. But, I mean, credit to the Lakers. They put them in those situations. They put the clamps on them and, brought the pressure.
I mean, for sure, you have to give a lot of respect to the Lakers and how they've played. They've played championship-level defense in these playoffs, definitely in this series against Golden State. So, for certain, you want to give a lot of credit to the Lakers. But when you look at Golden State, I mean, their execution, especially last night in a game that I thought for 3 quarters, I thought they were going to win last night. They really controlled the game pretty much through 3 quarters. And then when you look at the 4th quarter, it seems like every time Golden State was up in the game, I think they had a 9-point lead at one point, late in the 3rd quarter or early in the 4th. And then the Lakers always kept them in their sights. They never let them really quite run away from them last night. And then when it was crunch time, when the pressure was on the line, I mean, Lonnie Walker,
oh, my God. Where did that guy come from?
That was like Lonnie Jordan in the 4th quarter, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't miss. He was like 1996 Michael Jordan in the 4th quarter of that game last night. But when you look at the Warriors and their execution, just thinking about them, I mean, they took 3 of the most poor shots I've ever seen any team take in these
took
playoffs
the Jordan
so far.
Poole shot. The shot that the entire internet was memeing Jordan Poole to death for in Game 1. Curry took that shot.
Right. I mean, it was kind of crazy just when you look at it. Not only he misses this. Klay Thompson had 2.
Oh, he was awful.
Klay Thompson was bad the whole night, but he took 2 really bad shots late in the 4th quarter of that game. And then when Steph Curry misses the one shot, he's got Anthony Davis on him. He was just dying to be taken all the way to the basket. He tries to shoot over a 7-foot monster who's about as long, whose hands pretty much stretch to the ceiling of the crypto center, what it's called. Anthony Davis.
What are they calling it now?
The crypto, whatever it is. Anthony Davis is, when his hands are in the air, he's like 10 feet tall. So he tries to launch a shot. And look, the Warriors are what they are, right? I mean, they've won 4 NBA championships being the kind of team that they are, right? So I'm not going to beat them up too much because you live by the sword, you die by the sword. The Warriors are a team who has made some incredible jump shots late in games throughout their championship run. So why are we expecting that they're going to change who they are? And they stayed true to their form last night, except late in the game when Draymond had the ball in his hand and Steph Curry, two of their most trusted ball handlers late in the game, they failed them last night.
Yeah, and I think the difference is in the past they've had good passing to get a good open look. Or I mean, Steph's hit some contested shots late in games, but they usually, it's contested because the guy's closing back in on him. It's not like draped all over him, but they've struggled late in these games to get a guy open. You talked about Draymond driving under the basket late, making that weird jump play where they ended up turning the ball over. They were trying to get it to Clay in the corner, but there was just nowhere to go.
Yeah,
I mean the Lakers are just filling up all the passing lanes. They're not letting the Warriors offense run. I'm interested to see what Steve Kerr does. I mean, I've said that the last two games, but you would think Kerr would be able to figure out and make an adjustment, punch back. But so far, they really, other than the game two, haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, and that's my last point there. As far as that, as far as the Lakers, obviously up 3-1 in the series, I think you really hit on a good point. I think the Lakers' length is really giving the Warriors a lot of problems. The Warriors largely are a team that really doesn't depend on their athleticism. They depend on execution, ball movement, smart, sort of complex plays in order to get guys open. And I think the Lakers' athleticism is just giving them a lot of problems. When you look at Anthony Davis, he's tall and long. LeBron James, 6'9", Jared Vanderbilt. Even D'Angelo Russell is a tall, long, 6'5" point guard. So I think that length and their ability to bother shots is really giving the Warriors a lot of problem. And let's be real, that's not going away. I mean, they're down 3-1 right now. I don't think there's any chance they win 3 straight to be able to win this series. I think Golden State's about to go home.
Hey, have you seen what that dog on social media says?
No, what do you say?
Have you not seen this video?
No, I haven't seen it.
There's a little corgi that the guy the corgi sent at the top of the stairs. They throw a ball at him, and he boops the ball into a bucket to predict the winner of each game.
Yeah.
And he is a perfect 4 for 4 this series. And
wow.
He has the Warriors winning the last 3 and coming back to win it in Game 7. So I don't know the corgi's name, but it's playing out to the corgi script so far, so we'll see.
Well, I mean, I will give this benefit of the doubt, right? So when you look at the setup of the series, the Warriors have home court. So when you look at them having to win 3 straight, 2 of those next 3 would be in their building. So it kind of comes down, obviously, without saying they have to go home in Game 5 and take care of business there. You can't assume that they will, but, that crowd's going to be going crazy. They're going to fight with the heart of a champion. You would expect them to come out and fight hard in Game 5 and have a chance to win that. So then it all comes down to Game 6 on Friday night. And can you win in their building? The Warriors have been terrible on the road the whole season. They did win 2 games on the road in the Sacramento series, but this ain't the Kings who they're playing.
Yeah, and the Lakers have not only, LeBron's obviously been here before, but the Lakers were here just last series. They had a 3-1 lead, same situation, going on the road. They lost that Game 5 to Memphis, and even LeBron said after the game, we've been in this situation. We know that the Warriors are going to be backs against the wall, desperate, and we have to come in with that desperation. So he's going to be preaching that
for sure
going into the game, and the team's going to know that he's right because they just went through it
for sure
the series before. Going over to the Eastern Conference, going back to Game 5, tied up in the Celtics 76ers series. This has been a fun one, a real fun one. It's split both home and away, 1-1. So I have no idea what to expect tonight, but I expect a good basketball game. Yeah.
That series has been about what I expected, right? I mean, I don't think anyone was going to run away with that series. I think Philly and the Celtics are pretty evenly matched when you look from a talent standpoint. I think the difference is, like I've said before, I'm used to more so seeing the guys on the stars for the 76ers kind of run out of gas and collapse more than the Celtics guys are, right? So I think when you look at Joel Embiid and James Harden, their kind of playoff history, a recent playoff history, suggests that they'll run out of gas here late or they'll have some bad games and then eventually run out of gas and the Celtics will be able to outlast them. But you never know. I mean, Game 5 here coming up. I mean, I don't really know which way this series is going. I mean, the Celtics, the one thing that sort of worries me about the Celtics is maybe Joe Mazzulla, a head coach, and just maybe not being able to make the adjustment that he needs to make. It's because sometimes he seems kind of shaky. He's a first-year coach.
He sat on some timeouts late in that Game 4 before, and they ended up losing. And I know Fred Campagna and a lot of other Celtics fans were calling for him to take those timeouts. I think it could have been a difference.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, so he's a guy who just really hasn't been in this position before, in this situation. Yeah. So obviously it's going to be easy to point the finger at him and go, what are you doing late? So, but look, I mean, this is kind of a coin flip at this point. I still think the Celtics are going to win this in 6 or 7. But yeah, I mean, this is a fight. I mean, this is definitely, I think, we knew this was going to be a fight heading into this series. Both of these, look, I can see both of these teams making the NBA Finals, not just because they're here in the second round of the playoffs, but when you look at the structure and how these teams are built, when you look at the star power on both these rosters, I can easily see both these teams in the finals. So that's why I say these last 3 games of this series is really going to be a coin flip, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, look at, how they finished down the stretch. Obviously they finished 2-3 in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So they're the top 2 teams left, but the Celtics are there all year long, 1 or 2 seed all year long. So they were just great all season. And then the Sixers had an incredible surge over the second half of the year. So they're the hot team coming in. They swept in the first round, and they've got, Joel Embiid, the MVP, on their team. So these are probably, I'm looking up and down the board here, I guess you could say the Nuggets, but they're probably the 2 hottest teams in basketball coming into the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, of course it's going to be a knock 'em down, drag 'em out series. And I kind of expect it to go 7. And I really don't know. All of these series I have a leaning. This one's tough, man. I don't know. Gun to my head, I think I'd say the Celtics just for the same reasons you have. I've seen that team do it.
Right,
I haven't
seen them,
this Sixers team. They've won some games, obviously, but I haven't seen them do it consistently in the postseason, and I saw the Celtics do it last year.
Exactly. So you give them the benefit of the doubt. But like I said, when you look at these teams, we've seen the Sixers, we've seen the stars for the Sixers run out of gas at this point in the season before. We've seen kind of Joel Embiid not really be at his best. So what I'm looking for that signature game from Joel Embiid. I'm looking for that. I mean, Game 5, there's no better time to make it happen, right?
We got one from Harden in Embiid's absence.
Exactly. So I'm looking for that signature dominant game for Joel Embiid. When you look at some of the great big men in the history of the game and everything like that, these are the kind of moments where I want to see Joel Embiid be an MVP. I know he won the league MVP, but I want to see one of those dominant performances in an important playoff game when your team needs it the most, and you dragging them over the finish line. Now, it's one thing that's funny though. I've talked about the Sixers too. I was talking about this on social media the other day. Do you know who the highest paid player on the 76ers is?
I would assume Harden.
Right. Most people would, right?
Yeah.
Their highest paid player is Tobias Harris.
No,
at 37 million.
Shut up.
Tobias Harris is their highest paid player, right?
At 30, like AAV?
I believe he's right around 37 million per year.
I have to look this up.
Go, seriously. And so when you watch the 76ers, especially one of their losses here in the series, he has to be, I think life must be great for Tobias Harris, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the highest paid player on the team. But when you lose, nobody blames you for anything, right?
That's wild. You're right. That is wild.
He's the highest paid player.
Tobias Harris,
right?
37 million. Joel Embiid, 33. James Harden, 33.
Right. But the guy has some of the smallest expectations I've ever seen for the highest paid player for a team competing for a championship.
I don't know if we've mentioned him. I've been out the last week, but I don't know if we've mentioned him on this show.
Probably never.
Last month.
Right. Probably never.
That is wild.
I've never seen a highest paid player for a championship contender fly under the radar, but I believe it was Game 3 or Game 4. He scored 7 points. 7 points for the highest paid player.
What's that work out to per? How many dollars per point is that?
I mean, but it's just amazing. But when they lose, though, when the 76ers lose, we look at James Harden. We go, James Harden isn't playing well. Or Joel Embiid, he didn't get it done. Tobias Harris just walks right at the back of the locker room like, all right, see you guys.
I mean, you got to put some of that on the front office too, right? I mean, yeah, you place some of the blame at the feet of Tobias, but, like, somebody okayed that check. Somebody gave him that money.
I'm not blaming Tobias at all. I mean, if somebody offers me $37 million to play basketball and I'm the third best player on the basketball team, I'm all for it, right?
Yeah.
But I just think that's an interesting dynamic where you have a player like Tobias Harris who seemingly has very little expectations, yet is the highest paid player on the 76ers. But when they lose, when they don't play well, when they fail in a playoff game, we look at James Harden and Joel Embiid, and he just skirts under the radar. That's a great life to have, man.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Right.
I'm jealous for Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris. I'm glad you told me that. I had no idea.
That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. Going on back over to the West, the Suns and Nuggets playing in a Game 5 tonight. Oh, you're good. Suns Nuggets playing in a Game 5 tonight, also tied up. But this one's played out a bit differently than the Sixers and the Celtics. Both home teams have gone 2-0 at home, so this one's going back to Denver.
Yeah.
So that would tell you, Denver's favored tonight. They are favored. They're favored by 6.5.
For sure.
But the Suns are coming in winning the last two. So I don't know. What do you expect to see tonight over there in Denver?
I like the Nuggets tonight. However, I don't feel that confident about that, right? Because once again, Denver's another one of those teams that we haven't seen do it on this big stage, right? I mean, a couple years ago in the bubble, they were in the conference finals. They got smoked by the Lakers in like five or six games or something. So then they spent the next 2 years without Jamal Murray come playoff time, and now they kind of got the band back together. They're totally healthy. So I've just never seen, once again, I kind of feel how you feel about the 76ers, like kind of how you explain that. That's how I feel about Denver. I like Denver. I love Denver. To me, they're the cleanest team in these playoffs from a, just a position standpoint and everything. I think they have everything it takes to win, but you've just never seen them win in this big moment. So I think that's what you kind of worry about when you think about Denver is I don't know. I haven't seen them in a game this big before. It's kind of what Game 5 is going to be. So I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel similarly. I mean, the NBA is kind of a prove-it league, right? You need to see a team do it before you fully buy in.
For sure.
But they're healthy this year. They've looked really good. I mean, they've got their hands full. This is a great Suns team. Added Durant late. But when you look at these games, Denver kind of handled the first two at home pretty easily. The Suns made a few runs there late, especially in Game 2. But for the most part, if you were watching those games, you kind of felt the whole way like Denver's going to win this one. The two in Phoenix did not play out like that. The Suns won both of them, but you were never at a point until the very end where you're like, oh, Phoenix is taking this one. Like, they've got it done. Like, Denver was always there. They were always playing it tough. So Denver has either been in control of or been right there in all four games. You can't say that for the Suns. So that kind of leads me to feel the Nuggets have been the overall better team in this series. Now,
I think you're right.
The Suns have won the last two, so maybe they're figuring things out. But I think going back home, that little extra edge.
I'm sorry, man.
No, you're fine. I'm also trying to figure out our graphics here. I apologize to anyone watching. We've lost those.
Well, I'm sure they know who we are, right?
Our whole thing just went out.
We got some technical difficulties?
Yeah, technical difficulties. I'm not sure if you can hear us or not if you're watching the stream. We're going to mute for just a second and try to figure this out and then continue on. So give us one moment. All right, guys, we're back here. Stand with me for one moment. I'm going to have to set some stuff up for us, and it might look kind of funky for a second. But
That's all right. These things happen, right? Technical issues. It's all good.
Hey, we're back. We're good.
We roll with it.
Okay, we're good.
So we're going to pick back up with the Nuggets?
Yeah,
Nuggets
I don't even remember
right?
what we were saying. We were talking about Suns and Nuggets. I think we were
we're just talking about
up.
just how we haven't really seen the Nuggets really have to come through with this, with this at this point with this sort of playoff pressure.
Yeah, and I think I was kind of wrapping up my thoughts, but just that the Nuggets have been the better team through 4 games. So going home with that extra edge, I kind of expect them to take Game 5, and then they're just 1 win away. So I'm taking the Nuggets in this series still, but I think this is gonna be one of the most fun series to watch, and it's probably going 6, or it's definitely going 6. It wouldn't surprise me at all to go 7. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, just like I say, this is a coin flip for me because I don't really feel overly confident about either team in this series. Just when you look at the Phoenix Suns, they obviously don't have Chris Paul, but Devin Booker and Durant were just totally unstoppable the last couple games in Phoenix.
Yeah,
so
Booker's shooting like 98% from the floor or something.
Right. I mean, those two guys can carry you to a win, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't really feel that confident. Like, I think Denver will win tonight. They're back at home. Their building is going to be going crazy. So a lot of those shots that didn't fall in the last 2 games in Phoenix are going to fall tonight. They're going to have some momentum. So I like that part of it. And they're a good team to begin with. I think Jokic is going to play better and all those things. But when you look at the Phoenix Suns, they have 2 players that can absolutely beat you, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Kevin Durant can carry a team. Devin Booker at times can carry a team. Those 2 are together, and together they look unstoppable. And then when DeAndre Ayton is getting into the mix, they can beat anybody. So I don't really feel confident that that Denver is going to win tonight, though. But they are my pick. But I can really, this is a coin flip to me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you get when you're this late in the postseason. You have 2
For sure.
really, really good teams. It's hard to pick against a really good team.
Yes.
That's just how it goes, and that's why it's fun to watch.
Gotta love it.
Moving on out of the NBA now, we had some NFL talk in the news. Talks of the Washington Commanders possibly tampering and for a quarterback, and you might think of several quarterbacks in the league that the Commanders might want to go get.
Right.
No, he's not in the league. It's retired quarterback Andrew Luck, who the Colts still technically have rights to because he retired in the middle of his contract there. There were talks that the Commanders had reached out to the Colts or to Luck, we're not sure which, to talk about him possibly unretiring, being Washington's quarterback for the 2023 season. Those rumors had kind of floated out there, and then Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, suddenly tweeted saying if anyone reached out to Andrew Luck, that would be in violation of our exclusivity rights to him, and that would be tampering. So seemingly confirming that, someone said something, and they may have done it without the Colts' permission, which by the letter of the law is tampering. Now, we don't know that for sure yet. We don't know. Maybe Irsay wasn't informed that, no, the Commanders did actually call the front office. Front office said no. Or maybe they did go straight to Luck. That's the question right now. But just another weird chapter in the story of the Washington Commanders lately. Just weird. What were your thoughts on this?
This is just typical Washington Commanders, right? I mean, this is just business as usual, just silly business as usual. This is the way their organization has been run for the last, 20-plus years.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. The NFL draft just passed, right? Mm-hmm. If you really wanted a quarterback that bad, why didn't you go get one? I mean, they were one of the teams I was thinking was maybe trying to move up to the top of the draft in a trade to go get their quarterback of the future. Instead, you're relying on trying to call a guy who hasn't played football in years. The last time we saw Andrew Luck, that guy didn't even look like he played football before.
No.
He looked like he was supposed to a guy who would like a telemarketer or something. I mean, he looked like he wasn't even. I didn't even recognize Andrew Luck the last time.
There's no way he's in football shape. I haven't seen him recently, but like you said, the last time we saw him in the public eye, he had lost 40 pounds probably. He was so small.
He didn't even look like he played football at any point in his life. So now Washington, who doesn't have a quarterback, I don't even know who their quarterback is. I know they signed Jacoby Brissett. And I think they have, I think they have a couple journeymen as their quarterback. I know Jacoby Brissett, he signed there.
They got the Sam Howell kid.
Okay, Sam Howell, right? There you go.
They're supposedly going to ride it out with him and see, but that's kind of what they've done the last several years, right? They rode it out with Heineke. Oh, we're going to see. They'll ride it out with Howell, and they're going to keep finishing with, 6, maybe 7 wins if Howell plays well, and be out of range for Caleb Williams or any other quarterback worth taking.
I can't imagine what Eric Bieniemy was thinking when he took. I know what he was thinking, so I get why he took the offensive coordinator job with the Commanders. So you're basically banking everyone's future, like everybody in that building, right? The quarterback is pretty much the after the head coach, he's like the number one guy in your building. The quarterback is the most important piece for your success in the NFL. Can you imagine telling Eric Bieniemy or him walking into that job going, all right, man, the future of you and your family lies on the arm of Sam Howell? Like, really?
Do you think that's what they told him? Or do you think they said we have plans this offseason to go get a guy? And Eric Bieniemy, this is wild speculation, by the way, but Eric Bieniemy's thinking, oh, maybe we're going to move up and draft a guy. And meanwhile, the Commanders are thinking, oh, we're going to call Andrew Luck, who hasn't played football in 5 years. That's our plan.
Right. That's the plan. That's the plan, to call a guy who hasn't played football in about 3 or 4 years. That's ridiculous, man. I don't know. I know they just sold the team, so hopefully that organization goes in a better direction as far as being ran. But that's got to be one of the most poor-ran franchises in professional sports. It's one thing, like, who starts an NFL season with Sam Howell, like a 5th-round pick? So, who starts an NFL season with hopes and dreams? Do you know how many people in that organization, jobs and life, depends on who the quarterback is? And you want to have all those. They have guys like Terry McLaurin and some really good position players around the quarterback. And you want to tell them that Sam Howell is your starting quarterback? Really? That's it? That's what you're going to enter the 2023 season with? Sam Howell? That's the best you got?
They gave Andrew a call. What do you want? What else could they do?
I'm done with the Command. I don't even want to talk about them no more. They're not even worth our breath at this point.
Okay, well, we can move on then. What's on your mind tonight, bud?
What's on my mind? So I was thinking, it's always these social media fights especially when it comes to LeBron James and his legacy and everything. It was a big fight last week. Everyone on social media was saying, well, if the Warriors win this and Steph Curry beats him again, can we call Steph Curry the best player of the era and everything? That was just such a fun fight last week. I love social media this time of year because I remember Mike Greenberg on ESPN said it. He goes, in these NBA playoffs, every game, to fans and media, every game is like a referendum on everything, right? So if a team wins an NBA playoff game, it's like, you know what? I can see this team winning a championship. Yep. If a team loses, they want to retool the entire organization. Yep. And we're just talking about one game, not a whole series.
It's overreaction season.
Right. So I love the NBA playoffs. That's just the one thing I love about it. We're talking about legacies. We're talking about replacing, trading guys who have a rough game. The NBA playoffs brings out every sort of overreaction, every overreactive fan, and I love it.
It's beautiful.
I love it.
It's beautiful. What's on my mind? Yeah. And we'll do this quickly and then get out of here because we're running out of time. Max Fried gave Braves fans a bit of a scare today. Obviously, he had his hamstring injury on opening day. Yeah. Was put on the 15-day IL. Has come back from that. Looked great. This morning it came out that he was being placed back on the 15-day IL, but not for the hammy, but for a forearm strain, which if you're not a baseball fan, a forearm strain might not sound like a big deal, but that is often what ends up leading to Tommy John surgery, which is definitely a season ender, sometimes a career ender, usually career altering. Yeah. So Braves fans were pretty scared this morning. Good news is David O'Brien, a Braves reporter from The Athletic, tweeted that Fried has had an MRI, and at this time it does not show UCL damage that would require surgery, that the Braves are just being cautious and could even place Fried on the 60-day IL to make sure he has adequate rest before coming back. So, scary news to wake up for Braves fans. Yeah. But looks like everything's going to be A-okay over there in Atlanta. They got a great lead in the division. They're 7 games up on the Mets, so they can afford to give Fried a little bit of time and get their guy back.
And then you're going to need him to be strong, late in the season. Yeah. So let's get him strong for August and September, and then we'll figure it out now. But, hey, Brett, thanks for I love these Tuesdays, man, when we go at it, man. We talk a lot of NBA. It's been fun. We'll watch the games tonight. We'll come back here and we'll talk about them tomorrow. ANF Plus, Sports Tonight. We'll see you Wednesday.
See you guys.
Later.